Today's video is going to be actually on my Glock 19 Gen 4 9mm. I actually got this gun, I would say, a couple years back. I actually bought it used, bought it at a pawn shop. I seen it. It was a good price. I decided to go ahead and buy it. Now let's go ahead and do a safety check first. When any firearm, as you know, you always want to double check and make sure that it is unloaded and safe to work with. So you want to visually and physically check, make sure there's no ammo in the actual chamber or a bullet in the actual barrel, and make sure there's no magazine, so the firearm is safe to work with. Now this Glock was actually working perfectly fine. The only issue when I bought it was actually owned by a left-handed shooter, so I did have to switch out the magazine release from the right side to the left, which was pretty simple. It was real easy, not very difficult to do with. So other than that, I mean, the gun was running flawlessly. There was no issues with it. Now with any typical Glock, honestly, the reliability is awesome. It's an awesome gun. It works flawlessly. A lot of people love it. There's so much you can do with this pistol. You can switch pretty much everything on it. The first thing that I decided to switch on it, or actually upgrade on the actual firearm, like I said, it was working perfectly fine. There was no issues with it. It was the actual sights. I actually definitely wanted some night sights. I really hate the Glock sights. The firearm is awesome. I just wish they all came with night sights out the box. So the first upgrade that I did was actually the night sights. I went ahead and got the AmeriGlo iDot sights. You can pick those up. Now the way these work, they don't work like your traditional 3-dot. You only have 2 dots on this one. You have 1 dot at the bottom, which is your rear, and then 1 dot at the top, which is your front side. And that's how you line them up, and that's how you use them. The front side does sit a little higher, especially for fast acquisitions, especially if you're going to be doing some shooting competitions, or if you just want to pick up your target a lot faster. It does help with that, and it's been very useful. It does take a little time to get used to, especially if you're used to the 3-dot sights. But with time, with anything, the more you practice with it, the more efficient you become with the actual sight. So, but they have been working flawlessly. I actually like them. I actually bought another pair and put it on my Glock 42, which is a 380. So I was very impressed with the sights itself, and they were pretty good. I mean, they're not very expensive. Some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about today, I'm actually going to be putting links in the video, so you guys can actually go look for it if you want, shop around, so that'll be a helpful tool for you guys. Now the next thing that I actually switched out was the actual trigger. Glocks don't have the best triggers. That's the one thing. Their sights suck, and then their trigger is okay. I mean, it's mediocre. The more you practice with it, the better you'll get with it, and using it, utilizing it. But like I said, that's the main thing. Most people, when they go ahead and do upgrades on their Glocks, is typically they switch out the trigger, the sights first, and typically the trigger, or vice versa. Now the first trigger that I actually installed in this Glock was actually a CMC trigger, the flat face one. I had that trigger for a while. I shot it, but the only complaint that I had with it was that I kept getting a blister at the bottom of my finger. The way the little safety device is set up, as far as in the middle of the trigger, for whatever reason I kept pinching the bottom of my finger, and every time I would pull, like I said, with time I would just develop a blister. It's not a real big deal. I mean, obviously I could work through the actual pain and so forth, but still, I mean, that's something that's an annoyance to me. And when I ended up coming across this Hive Monarch, I decided to give it a try and see how I like it. I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. I actually got this one used also, actually. I picked it off of eBay, got a good deal for it. Decided to go ahead and try it out. Tried it out, pretty much loved it, and it's been in the Glock since. And the actual CNC actually sold it. Like I said, it's a good trigger, nothing wrong with it. It just not to my liking. Now, there are definitely more upgrades to this actual firearm. As you can see, obviously I got the TRL streamlight HL light on it, which is an excellent light. It does work. I also got the CMC barrel on it. This is actually the bronze one. When I got the bronze, obviously I had a black trigger, so now you can tell it's a little Frankensteinish, because they had different colors and different things going on. But I mean, it was a good price on the actual barrel. I wanted to try it out, got it. I actually like it. I mean, it's a real nice trigger, and the finish has been holding up. I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of reviews where people were complaining about the finish wearing off real soon. I've only shot about maybe 600 rounds to this actual firearm, and the finish is actually holding up pretty good. And I'm actually going to show you. Let me go ahead and break it down so you guys can get a better look at it, see what else I've done. Now, you definitely want to pull the trigger, take down pins. I can never seem to get a good grip on it, but whatever. I'm probably gonna have to upgrade that next, especially for me. For whatever reason, I can't seem to get a good grip on it, but yeah, that's just me. Now, this barrel is threaded. It is a bronze. I'm gonna take this part off. As you can see, I do use it, I do shoot it. It is dirty, so, and as you can see, the finish is holding up. I mean, it's holding up pretty well. There's hardly no signs of wear on it at all, actually. You know, I know some people were complaining that after a few hundred rounds, I mean, the finish was actually coming right off. And this is holding up real nice. So, as you can see, CMC has fixed that issue, or especially with this particular trigger, they went ahead and fixed that issue. I have no wear on it, so I'm very happy with it. And like I said, it's an awesome barrel. Go ahead and put that back together. Now with this particular trigger also, you can adjust it. I'll go ahead and show you guys in a little bit. Let me go ahead and here's a tool that I do have that might be useful for some of you guys that own Glocks. It's actually, I believe from NC Star. It's actually a Glock tool. It actually has your punch, and it also has the front sight removal tool. So this is the one I actually use, and it is magnetized, so it does help. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and push these pins out. Push the back one out too. Hands are a little greasy now from playing with that trigger. Now I also do have an extended slide release back here. This is actually by Ghost also. I also have the Ghost spring back here, and I also have the Ghost connector for the trigger. So let me go ahead and push this one out too. Now this one you do have to play with a little bit. You do have to finesse it, turn it, move it around. There it goes. And sometimes, like I said, it can be a pain in the ass trying to get it out, but typically it does flow right out. Slides right out, and now the trigger housing comes completely out. So there you go. Now this Monarch trigger is actually adjustable. You can adjust it. You has a little section where you can adjust it pretty much up here in the front. It comes with a little tool, that'll help you adjust it. You could turn it in more or turn it out more, and it will give you less of a pull, less take up. But you know, especially if you are going to change out the spring and then add a connector, you definitely don't want to play with that too much, because then the gun will not, the trigger won't drop. It just won't let you. It will be a safety, a hazard, and it just won't work. The trigger won't work. So the other thing that I went ahead and did, I'm going to get this out of here, is there is the Ghost connector right there. Now this connector is one that you do have to pretty much file down, so it has to be custom fitted. Now, you might have to get a gunsmith, or you could do it yourself. I did it myself. I filed it down. It did take some time to play with, and I also changed out the trigger spring here, which is a 6-pound trigger spring, as you can see there. That is the trigger spring. It is in an S form. Whenever you switch it out, that's how you want to reinstall it. It should be in an S form. Now the connector, when I first did it, and when I first actually got the kit, there's some kits that actually come with the actual back plate for the actual slide. This part right here, it's like halfway, so just in case you don't file enough of the actual connector down, the pistol will not lock up on you. And that's a problem that I actually had. Since I didn't have the actual back plate, I thought I had filed enough of it down, but apparently I didn't. And what I mean by filing it down, I mean you have to file this little front part right here down, because the way this trigger works, the trigger bar, is when you go ahead and reinstall it in there, this trigger bar sits up here on this little shelf. I don't know if you guys can see that. And when you go to pull the trigger pulls back and then it drops. So that's how it works. Now, if you don't file down enough of that connector, guess what? The connector is going to stop the actual trigger from dropping. And there it is. It's stuck. It's not going to pull back. It's not going to drop. It needs to drop in order for it to function. So you definitely don't want to shave too much of it off, but you don't want to shave too little of it, because then the gun will lock up on you. And if it does happen, which it happened to me, I'm going to show you how to actually take the slide apart. Because it did happen to me, and it was a pain in the ass, and it was just kind of frustrating. So, you know, I had to do a little bit of research and like, all right, figure it out. And I was able to, but I didn't see any videos on it, so I'm going to go ahead and help you guys with that today too. So now what the connector does, it pretty much just it gets rid of all that take up. The extra take up that you don't need, it pretty much gets rid of it. So that's what that really does. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall it back into place. Put everything back. It should. Now you definitely, when you push these pins through, you definitely want to go from left to right, and then when you reinstall them, obviously from right to left. So you want to make sure they're pretty much even on both sides. You don't want to push them all the way through on one end. So there we go. It's housing back in place. You want to make sure everything lines up properly. Again, you want to go from left to right. I mean, you can pretty much push them through with your hands, but I mean the tool does help. You want to make sure you get them right in the middle. Not too much on one side, not too much on the other. So that looks about right there. So that looks good to me. And then here goes your slide release. Now this one is the most difficult part, trying to begin to line all these the trigger, the slide release, and this actual bar here. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. There you go. You might have to play with it a little bit. Push one up, push one down. There it goes, and it should pop right all into place. There it goes. So as you hear that little pop, it means it popped into place. So we're gonna go ahead and demonstrate that to you one more time. So when you go ahead and right the slide back, the trigger's ready to engage. I don't know if you guys can see that top shelf right there. There it goes. So when you go to pull the trigger, boom, it drops. So that's the way that should function. Now if the connector's not filed enough, it will block that. As you can see, it's just about right. I think I might have shaved a little bit too much off, but I guess that's something you could play with. And then, you know, you cycle your next shot, next round, the trigger goes back into place, you pull the trigger, bam, and it drops. That's the way it should function. Now, in case it does lock up on you, I'm going to show you how to pretty much take it apart. So let's say you're going to go ahead and test it out. You go to pull the trigger, guess what? It didn't drop just because you didn't shave off enough off the connector. So what you're going to do now is you're going to lock the slide back. You're going to take your little Glock tool here, you're going to push down on the actual trigger spring, and then you're going to pretty much slide the black plate off. But you want to make sure you keep applying pressure, because you do have the extractor plunger, which will shoot out on you, and that's the last thing you want, because that is a pain in the ass trying to find that plunger. And there it goes, it comes right out. See, that's your extractor plunger. The extractor should fall out now. There it goes. Okay, now you could take the actual little trigger spring assembly out. And then now what you're going to do is now you're going to release the slide, and now you're going to get the little cup, that sits in there. You push down on it and it should pop right out. There it goes. There's a little spring there, a little safety spring. Now, just back, push down these things again, and there it goes. It slides right off. Pretty simple. Now this actual cup, now what you're gonna do now to reinstall this now is now you're gonna do the opposite. Now you're gonna put the cup in first, push that down. Now you're gonna install your extractor. The extractor does hold this little cup down, so it does have to be installed. There it goes. And there it goes. It holds the little cup in place. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. And you can install your trigger back in, your firing pin with the spring and everything. An extra plunger, which will hold your extractor in place. Then you put your plate back on. Now you're gonna have to push down on this a little bit, get it all to line up, then push down on the firing pin. Alright, get this to line up. You are gonna have to push down on the plunger again, the extractor plunger. Just be careful with it because it may shoot out on you. Bang. And there you go. That's how you assemble your slide again. I'm going to function check it. Make sure it will pull. There you go, trigger pulls. Bang. I'm going to tackle it again. So there it goes. The safety is working on the actual trigger itself. You need to activate this little safety lever here in order for it to drop. Bang, and it drops. So that's something that did happen to me. It took a little bit of time, but I was able to figure it out and I actually fixed it. So hopefully that's useful for you guys. Hopefully this video was useful for you guys. Everything that I have here has been working great, has been working pretty much flawlessly. I haven't had any issues other than that one first trigger, which I was getting a little blister, but even then it was something I could have overcame. It's entirely up to me, but you know, definitely don't want to have blisters on my finger. Please like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you guys think. I definitely want to hear what you guys think. Let me know what kind of upgrades you guys have done to your Glocks, because I am interested. You know, like I said, this is something I do play with a lot. Definitely do different types of upgrades, but so far I am very happy with this upgrades, and I'll definitely put up a video of me actually shooting this firearm for the first time. Pretty much with all of these upgrades. And I'll catch you guys. Make sure you guys are out there being safe, protect each other. And I'll see you guys next time.